Welcome to the Season of Self-Love podcast. I am your host, Nyomi Banks, and I am thrilled to have you join me on this transformative journey. You see, every day we dive into a powerful conversation about self-discovery, healing, and empowerment. This podcast is brought to you by Ask Nyomi and Elevate Me Self-Discovery, where we believe that loving yourself is the first step to living a fulfilling life. You can expect insightful discussions, practical tips, and inspiring stories. Plus, we'll occasionally welcome special guests who will share their unique perspectives on self-love and personal growth. So get comfy, grab your favorite beverage, and let's embark on this journey together. Because it's time to embrace the beautiful person that you are. So let's elevate our lives one episode at a time.
All right, my beautiful people. Welcome back to the Season of Self-Love podcast. I am your host, Nyomi Banks, and I am so grateful that you are tuning in today for Mindset Monday. As always, this year we are walking together through what I'm calling the year of rebirth, a sacred journey of rediscovery, healing, and reawakening to our deepest truth. Well, this month we've been diving into the theme of nurturing relationships and learning how to cultivate healthy bonds with others and, of course, with ourselves. I mean, when I'm telling you we've been digging down into these conversations this month, I've been loving every single Monday because you know who is with us. You know who he is with us. He is our resident therapist, Dr. Will, and he is here for a very powerful and honest conversation. This conversation is something that many of us avoid but desperately need, and that's the power of forgiveness. You see, forgiveness is one of the greatest acts of love that we can offer, whether it's to someone who hurt us or to ourselves. But before we bring Dr. Will to the stage, you know we have to take a quick break, all right? It's your girl, Goddess Nyomi Banks here on the Season of Self-Love podcast, and we'll be right back.
Ready to transform how you think about love and mental health? This May, join host Nyomi Banks and Dr. Will Washington and expert guests on Love and Mental Health, a powerful 4-part series exploring relationships through the lens of mental wellness. Every Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Ask Nyomi Bridging the Gap. Do you have a story to share? Your experience matters. Email us at asknyomi@gmail.com and be part of the conversation that's changing lives.
Washington Wellness Institute focuses on healing always. For me, if I look good, then I feel good. If I feel good, then I share the good. If I share the good, then I celebrate the good. If I celebrate the good, then I live the good. So I can be paid to be my greatest. But I have to learn the good to be the good.
So, what does it take to be the greatest? It's as simple as a free 15-minute consultation. Be kind to yourself and heal always.
All right, my beautiful people, welcome back. Welcome, Dr. Will. Hey.
It's good to see you. Look, back like I never left.
I know that's right. Well, today's conversation is all about forgiveness. You ready for this one?
I hope they're ready for this one. I'm harsh about forgiveness. That's a big word.
Yeah, it is. All right, my beautiful people. Well, before we get started, we want to kind of ground ourselves before we get into the topic at hand, all right? So if you all would just close your eyes for a moment.
Take a slow, deep breath in through your nose. Now exhale gently through your mouth. Let's repeat that. And when you inhale, I want you to inhale peace. And exhale tension. Now I want you to bring your awareness to your heart. Imagine any pain, grudges, or heaviness that you've been carrying melting away with each breath. Now visualize your heart opening to the possibilities of forgiveness. Not to forget, but to be free. You are safe here. You are loved. And you are worthy of peace.
And when you are ready, gently open your eyes. All right, my beautiful people. If you are new here to the Season of Self-Love podcast, it's something we do every day, Monday through Friday, just to help ground us before we get into the topic. All right, so this is a kind of a deep one right here. It is. Because, with forgiveness, honestly, to me, it has so many different languages to it. It has so many different languages to it. And really, when we talk about forgiveness, I guess we got to go to the root of it. Is the healing from it. Yeah. It's from healing from the act of whatever that act was being done to you or you have done to others, And I guess when we really look at that, that goes back to your healing process with your own self-love and your own forgiveness from yourself. So let's get into it. I know a lot of people, they have a very skewed view on what forgiveness really means. Some believe it means excusing bad behavior for others or pretending things did not hurt you. But I know that's not the full picture at all. I myself went through a whole slew of forgiveness emotions that went through my body. And I'm going to say this and then I'm going to come back to it, is that for me, forgiveness had different, each one of my forgiveness for the person had a different perspective, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. And through my forgiveness of forgiving others, it truly allowed me to be more in peace with myself. I think the hardest forgiveness that I had to do was the forgiveness of me. Yeah, the forgiveness of me. So can we start with the basics before we get all the way deep to where I'm going? What is forgiveness really? And why is it so vital for our relationships in our own self?
Yeah, I'll start with you just speaking on the level one with things. So forgiveness is understanding that an affront or some type of distress or some type of hurt, pain, unsettling, uncompromising behavior, action, you're able to you learn to have the capacity to move on or move from or move through and no longer be held by the power in which you were inflicted by, right? That is the level one where you really you learn to move on and move through based upon how you may have been inflicted or the inflictions that you may have done to others. So I think that's like the first, like I'll keep keeping it simple. I think that's it.
Yeah. What I'm trying not to do, I'm trying not to go on past conversations that we had so much, relying on those, but it's hard not to. Because in one of and I believe it was last week, we talked about having the capacity to be able to do A, B, C, and D. And I think that comes in when we talk about forgiveness, getting through it, getting over it, moving from it. Because it's first is understanding what that act was. I think a lot of people, and I know I'm for one, it's like, that ain't my problem to figure out why that happened. It just happened to me. Or they said, you understand what I'm saying? What I learned in that process is that person is not me. And that person would as a total different point in their lives. You understand what I'm saying? That whatever that hurt was for them, I was just a part of that hurt that they flew on. Does that make sense? And so me now understanding that hurt that even though it was to me, it honestly wasn't even about me. And I think that's where my understanding for forgiveness made more sense for me, because now I can look at each one of those individuals and say, I know where you was at that moment. I know when you was at, now I'm on the outside now looking at it like a full picture and understand it really wasn't about me. And that's where I had to take my own ego pride out of it. And it's like, no, you were just there.
Right.
You was just there, whether you were there to help or whatever. You were just there, and not that they used you, but they only did what they only knew to do.
Right.
Because you went through the work. That don't mean everybody else go through the work. So at this moment of time, you have to see them for who they were in that moment and say, I have to forgive that person. And that's for me. I have to forgive that person because they really know any better. They didn't. Even though I was hurt in that process, now I have to do my work and heal that part of me, whatever age that was. You understand? Me at
Right.
50 years old. Yeah, 50 years old, and my cousin did A, B, and C. I knew where the hell her hair was. I knew what that was. I knew it wasn't me.
Exactly.
So you have to get over you. That's a whole different type of thing, because you got to get over you. And I know people listen, I want you to get over. They did A, B, C, and D. Yeah, but can we step out of it? How many times you did A, B, and C when it really wasn't about them?
Exactly. You know what? And I was trying to keep it. That's why I said level 1 to give myself a boundary, give myself a barrier, because I know because you went to level 2 for me. That was you getting to level 2 for me because the corrective phrase is like, are you willing to get over yourself? And do you have enough self parentifying, right? Can you adult yourself enough to learn that it was never about you? And do you also have the capacity to realize that you have an entire world that you need to be focused on and you're distracted? If we can't talk about that, I don't see forgiveness being an option.
Yeah.
And a lot of us would rather stick to the story of our pain because it's more comfortable. And we're not supposed to talk about pain today. So we're talking about forgiveness. So forgiveness is understanding that pain is a component of your ability to forgive.
Yeah.
It's one of the 4 components in my mind.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. It's like, and this might sound real weird. The forgiveness put a definition for me on what the pain is. Does that make sense?
Ugh, say it again. Say it again. Say it again.
Forgiveness put the definition of the pain for me. Remember when I said each person level of forgiveness is different, a different perspective for me, because I'm putting a meaning on that pain for me. Yeah.
Which is why, okay, look, can we just do this? So like, so this is my thing. I used to think that forgiveness was a discipline. You had to learn to be disciplined to forgive, right? You had to learn the discipline. You had to discipline yourself to forgive. I used to think that way.
Okay.
But what I'm seeing now is forgiveness is the foundation of an expression, right? And people express forgiveness in different ways. And so grace can be an expression coming off of forgiveness. I realize that I don't really show forgiveness. I give grace, right? I don't really give people forgiveness. I show them acceptance. I don't really give people forgiveness. I learn the lesson and I give myself the boundary. I remove myself, right? And so I've learned that it was never about forgiveness. But forgiveness was giving me the lens, the orientation about how I should express myself. So then I would have to learn the discipline of grace. I had to learn the discipline of, moving on, the discipline of the boundaries that are needed. Because for me, I do forgive and I forget. I forgive and I learn the lesson, so I can be around them again, and it just won't happen again because I learned who I am.
Yeah.
And I also learned who you are.
Exactly.
So I'm okay with that now. I accept who you are. I don't let that part go past my boundary and my capacity. So for me, forgiveness has become a perspective and more of the ability to express.
Yeah.
So I've been learning to forgive through expression rather than ideology and the ideal in the
Yeah.
pain and what I think the pain is and what I think the hurt is and what I think they should have been, what I think. You just cycle, you just ruminate and you cycle, and it just becomes emotionally cancerous, right? So I've learned that forgiveness is an expression now. And so I'm learning how to express forgiveness rather than to give it, because it's not going to do anything other than repeat what I'm already feeling.
That's interesting. That's all I can say. That is very interesting.
Yeah, I'm just getting into that new thing. It's a new thing for me.
That's interesting. And so let me say this, because we had a beautiful lady on a few months ago that, that's her thing. Her thing is with forgiveness. And when she came, I loved her spirit, her energy. And I actually used some of the tools that she did with the forgiveness thing. I'm just going to be honest. It came her forgiveness and I'm not judging. I'm just telling you with the feeling and the energy that I got with her. Her forgiveness still came from a very, very hurt place. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I'm never trying to knock anybody on how they do their work. But even through her sharing that with me allowed me to truly see on what my forgiveness is going to look like for me. For my healing process. So even you sharing the way that you do yours, you know what I'm saying, is for you.
Yeah.
I'm going to say this, and folks can say, Nyomi, you full of shit, but there's not one way of forgiveness, meaning that my forgiveness may not fit you. Dr. Will's forgiveness may not fit you, but the core of it is truly understanding and knowing what your forgiveness should be. Does that make sense?
It should be a responsibility, right?
Yeah.
Like when like at the core of forgiveness, there is a emotional responsibility you have to take, and so for me, I'm about releasing. So my forgiveness is about expression, but I know that expression happens when I've accepted the emotional responsibility that needs to be seen and accepted.
Yes.
Because a lot of people have not accepted that emotional responsibility to release. For me,
exactly.
I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah.
No,
And
I think that's right.
Yeah, because even though you say you express yours, mine is definition. Which can I be honest, it's kind of like the same thing, because you just showing yours in a different way than how I'm speaking.
I have to act mine out.
Yeah.
I have to act mine out.
Yeah.
Or it stays in me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, for me, I'm loving you from afar. Because I'm gonna be honest. Even though I might feel like this today and so full of grace, I don't know what the hell somebody might do to trigger me. But the thing is now is that I do have the tools. But I also can take accountability that I know who the fuck I am with the healing.
So let me tell a quick story then, because I'm so glad you said that, because there's literally somebody in my life that I was like, I know the situation, I know that what my heart was intended to do, I know what was happening, but they were in survival mode, so they weren't looking at my value of what I was actually offering, because they were just like, this gotta happen, this gotta happen, this gotta happen. I'm like, well, let's just do this, and then we can build this. In 2 days, we can build this, and it was a really well thought out plan, right? But they weren't hearing that because they were in survival mode. It was just, I need this, I need that, and keep it moving. Because I didn't perform at their level of survival that they needed, right? I became useless to them. No longer a call, no longer a text, no longer access, no longer communicate. It's just it goes bad, right? I know I wasn't wrong, right? Because I know that I was coming from a right space and they were in a place of survival. It's very clear. But I can still say, I miss you, but I don't want you. I don't need you, but I miss you. And in the value, the appreciation of the relationship devalues, but my respect and responsibility to this relationship dynamic, I don't have to go further anymore to make this right. That's not my place. because I was never the problem,
Mhm.
right? And the forgiveness is knowing that they were in a space of survival, and I forgive that. But also, it let me know that you really don't value my presence as much as you should have.
Mhm.
So, of course, I miss you, but I'm not gonna go out of my way to make that
Right.
known. Like I'll say it to your face. Yeah, I miss you.
Mhm.
I may not plan next Thursday for the lunch.
Mhm.
You know, if it works out, it works out. And I think that's the boundary for me, though. Like you say, like you get it. Like, I do that too, but I can say how I feel, but also put myself in a healthier space.
Mhm.
That makes sense to my peace of mind because that's what I've accepted in my
Yeah.
responsibility. So yeah, I get what you're saying. Like
Yeah.
that's real.
Yeah. And it's so funny. Was about a few months ago, I unblocked a few people because I had blocked their butts on social media and everything. So I unblocked them and I left
Mm-hmm.
the door open for me to, when they do come, that I'm ready for them. I remember telling one of my cousins this before she was going through something with her family members. And I had told her, it's time for you to put up a blockage until you are able um, to understand who they are and be around them in that moment. You know what I'm saying? You can't keep setting yourself up to constantly get hurt, you know.
Mm,
So when we talk about it, I know last week we talked about the boundaries. This is where you have to really check yourself on boundaries for you when it comes to allowing loved ones or family members to continue hurting you, because at some point you have to put a band-aid on. You have to start to heal that so it can close, or or become a scar. Let's say become a scar.
mm-hmm.
And I had told her at that time, okay, you have to, they're not your friends. Your family members are not your friends on social media, so they shouldn't even be looking at your at your stuff. So you need to block them from that so they don't know what you do business wise. That's
Mm-hmm.
one. Two, can y'all even have a conversation where, first of all, that's led in love on both ends, or y'all both
Mm-hmm.
harming each other in your
Right.
conversation? Okay, no, okay, then that needs to be blocked too, until you, not them, because they got to
Mm-hmm.
do their thing. You got to do your own work to where you are capable of being
Mm,
able, one, to sit in forgiveness and grace, to understand that where they were at, because you were there too. See, that's
exactly.
what we forget. We forget about the moments where we were there too at some point in time. Might not as raw, but we were there too. But if you do the work and you take accountability for you, or
Mm,
how are we going to react, respond?
mm,
You know what I'm saying? So all of this goes in together when we
yeah.
talk about these certain things, when we talk about forgiveness, when we talk about being in these relationships, conversations, communications, but also we got to have that communication with self too and say, okay, that's not good for me.
Right. And that's and I think a lot of spiritual workers do not have the emotional accountability that they need. And I'm finding that so much in these communities where they have all the words, the woo woo, the colors, the clothes, the cotton linen suits, you know, and they do not want to hold I almost cuss. They do not want to hold a feeling and sit in a feeling and sit in that awareness. I tell people, if you want to know the ugly side of me, you can. I don't look, I blocked some people because they needed it for themselves, not
Yeah.
because I needed it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'll tell, if you want to know the dirty stuff about me, just ask. I'll tell you. And I'm still smart. I'm still smart as hell. I'm still beautiful. Still got beautiful curly hair. I still am working on my weight. Now I'm still an amazing musician. You can't take that away from me,
Right.
right? And I sit with these other spiritual practitioners, and they lack these very simple human flaws, right? But then they're leading people, and they lack human flaw. Like the human flaw, and the thing is like it's one thing about like we all have flaws, but it's you're hiding it, and then you're abusing it. You're abusing what you're hiding,
Yes.
and that's the problem. And that's the problem for me. Mm,
Mm.
yeah.
Yes. Oh, as you said, I'm like, And I'm not being messy. I'm sorry. It's just when
It's not messy. It's true.
It's just
It's true because I can call myself out. I can call myself out. And I could not be this good of a healer if I didn't sit in the peace of my darkness. I had to learn how to sit in the peace of my darkness. I'm still doing it. I'm still my work. What did they say when Jesus was resurrected? What did they say when Jesus was resurrected? He wasn't healed all the way. He still had his wounds.
Yes.
He was healed. He still had his wounds and was still helping people.
Yeah.
That's just a reference. Not saying it has to be
Yeah,
Christian.
no. I got it.
You know what I'm saying? It's the fact that we have the ability to heal people while being wounded.
Yes.
And a lot of spiritual practitioners do not want to heal, don't want to heal their own wounds and think they can only heal if they look a certain way.
Yes, or feel what they're saying does not apply to them.
It doesn't apply. It doesn't apply.
That it doesn't apply. That don't apply to me. It's so funny. I have the. I'm just gonna say them. I have these them.
I have these them.
I have these them. I have these them that sit and talk with me. And I be sitting there looking, and I'd say to myself, you better take that judgment out for your face, take everything out and just listen. And as I'm listening to them, I'm saying, you need a mirror.
The mirror's
you need
dirty.
a mirror. I constantly walk around with my invisible mirror. I constantly walk around with my invisible mirror. And it's so funny when I sit and I interview some amazing guests, they were like, I can't believe that you being honest about that. But why not?
Who else is going to be?
I have to be. I can't be. I cannot.
I thought we were doing healing work.
Yes, I cannot. They need to know that I'm healing, or I've healed from that a month ago. But guess what? Something just triggered it back.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you get through it, Nyomi? Well, this is how, because I used what I went through 2 months ago to help me to get through today.
Right. And let me ask you, when did you realize that the healers that you were around were never forgiving themselves?
My whole life, even in religion, even in if I could have my mama right here and say this girl was a piece of mess, because I was challenging everything. I was challenging every scripture in the Bible. I was challenging the minister. I was challenging everyone. I think that's why my mama and my daddy said this girl is crazy. Because people was not looking at themselves. I remember watching my mom. This is so funny. And my auntie listen, they be like, this girl tell all this. But I remember watching my mom. Matter of fact, it was after I had my last baby. And I remember going to church every Sunday. I remember things that the pastor was saying in the church was definitely happening in my household. Happening in my household. My mama was, I moved my mama in with me, help retire, and she was a part of the problem in the damn house. So he was talking and she just highlighting the thing, and I'm like, Mom, did you see that happen? She said, it did. Girl, yeah, you know it. Like, do you know this apply to you? No, this don't. And I'm sitting there and I'm in church texting my sister like, girl, why this lady over here next to me highlighting scriptures and stuff in there, and all this shit is her. And then I knew, I was like, when I said and I thought about it, I said, hold on. And
project the healing. Project the healing.
I said, I am so sorry, my grandmama and all of y'all. Let me tell you something. Y'all has set us up in church all of this time, highlighting these Bibles, learning these scriptures, and have not been applying any of those things into your life. But you want to apply them in everybody else's.
See, and that's why in my sessions, my clients will be like, well, can I write down some of the things you say? No. Can I record some of the things? No. Well, why not? What if I need it for later? Well, then that means you weren't present enough. It means you weren't present enough. You're only supposed to take what's supposed to stay in you.
Ooh.
You're not supposed to take everything with you.
I
So
like
you got. So what are you really hearing, and what are you really saying?
Yeah.
And if you're doing that, that means I'm talking too much in your session.
Yeah.
Nah, we don't do that.
I like that. There we go.
Mm-mm.
I like that.
Yeah. I know. So my thing is, I'm learning to forgive other healers
Yeah.
because I call myself, yes, I am a therapist, but I really believe I'm a healer that specializes in therapy
Yeah.
and psychotherapeutic approach,
Yeah.
right? But I'm a healer, and if I'm going to be a part of these different healing communities, I also have to forgive the healers for them trying. I have to forgive them for what they have not done yet, and I also forgive them for what they may do in the future. And that is a hard space to be in.
It's as easy as you think it is. Once you chose and
Mm.
you made the decision, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And you be okay with being on that island with just a small group of people. That's all it is. To be the unpopular. That's all
Yeah.
it is. That's all it is. And when you learn to be the unpopular, but be great in the unpopular that you are, because it's the work that you're doing, it's the healing that you are doing.
Right.
And the whole thing is that the healing that you are doing and you are helping others, that they are going out there and they are doing the healing as well. Because guess what? Now they know what true healing looks like. And so those that are out there manipulating the situations, they're going to fall by the wayside. I remember last month, a month before last, I remember receiving this message about me being in my leadership. And within my leadership, it was something that was said about not using my leadership to manipulate. Just a reminder to tell me, don't use that as a because we can. Once we feel that we have a certain amount of power or growth or influence on certain people, human nature is to manipulate, especially what's been taught to us in this world. And if you're not looking and truly going through the true healing of yourself, then you will be the person that's out there leading and manipulating people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the manipulator doesn't really know. The problem is that the manipulator knows that they're manipulating, but they don't understand the impact of. Right. It's that after effect, right? They're manipulating because of a type of scarcity in their life, or because of a cycle that they have unhealed from in their life. And they have to have power over because of the powerlessness that they may feel if they actually do heal.
Yeah.
And so my heart goes out to people that are weak.
Yeah.
And they abuse other people. Right.
Yeah.
My heart goes out to you because I know that you didn't want to be this way. But something along the line of life taught you that this was the only way you could learn how to survive.
Yeah.
It's the only way.
Yeah.
And so there is a way out, but you have to forgive yourself. Right? But the fire that catches up to you will never burn you.
Yeah.
It's the fire that you try to reach for that will.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're always afraid of that fire behind us.
Yeah.
But it ain't gonna burn you.
I love that. I do. I love that. I love that you said that. Wow. All right, let's move on because we spent a lot of time on that one.
Yeah,
we did it, but it was needed though. I think it was truly needed. It was. It was. All right. So even when we talk about forgiveness, I came across this study that said about people practicing forgiveness tend to have a lower level of anxiety or depression, or even a stronger immune system. That tells me that it isn't just emotional, but it's spiritual and physical too. I know for myself, that's something that I remember even just hearing a person name, my just like, oh. Right. It was so funny because when my mom used to say it, And she forgets. She forgets. She don't know the ins and out of it. Well, when last time you talked to her? And I'd be like, for real? So now I don't do that anymore because now I look at it so differently. And
Mm-hmm.
I understood how much power I had given to the situation, not to the person, but to the situation. I have given that much power to that and not looking like, okay, you need to heal from that pain, whatever that pain that it was. And what was that pain? Why did it such a, because honestly, we've been shown people all the time, but we tend to put that barrier or mask on of what we want them to be in our lives. And that's the thing, what we want them to be in our lives and how we're going to change them to be what we want them to be for our lives. And that's another different way of what I look at forgiveness is how did that person look for me? How did I have that person shown to me? What was my picture of them?
That's a lot of introspection.
Yeah.
A
Oh,
lot of introspection.
yeah.
Yeah.
When I then the thing is my healing, I thank my mother and my father for my healing process now. Because what I do is I look at the both of them and I look at their life and I look at who they created, which is me. And I look at the good and the bad that I've received from them. You understand what I'm saying? That created this who I am, but also with the choices and decisions that I made in life. So when I go back and I look at them and saying that I need to forgive them, that's the part of my foundation. So I have to, when looking at them and looking at their life, my father's father passed away when he was 11 years old. So he never had anyone that can truly teach him how to be a father or a provider. You understand what I'm saying?
Wow.
And so for that instant, that was like a domino effect to different situations. So I'm able to look at different, not judging, but I'm able to be a person that's outside and really look into their life and who they are. But then that also makes me to appreciate them more of where they've been and where they are now. So and let's go back to what we talked about with boundaries, but also this taught me that this is where your boundaries have to be stronger with love, because you are so empathetic, that you do lead in love, and that you are so graceful because you do understand that everybody is not at that same point in life. But you
Right.
also have to be able to protect yourself moving forward and understanding what that forgiveness is for you for that person. Does that make sense?
Yes. And I think one of the hardest things as human beings is that we serve idealism, right? We deserve what we think God should be. We serve what we think money should be, what friendship should be. We serve the ideal of the benefits of what these things should be rather than what they truly are.
Yeah.
And so in forgiveness, what we should be in forgiveness doesn't always align with what our emotions are.
Yeah.
And there's a mental emotional disconnect. And a lot of people that do experience anxiety and those other symptomatic expressions, it's usually because of a distortion, a cognitive distortion, that all or nothing mentality.
Yeah.
And those are usually internal pressures that we've created in our lives based upon how we've been treated.
Yeah.
And so our forgiveness roots us back to unresolved stories
Yeah.
where we haven't been in our most powerful states of choice and discernment and decision, where we didn't get to choose ourselves.
Yeah.
And so it really puts us back to a wounded innocence, so to speak.
Yeah. And I'm going to piggyback on that. That's something that I definitely been working on. And I see that my anxiety has gotten so much better, because I had to go back. When did my anxiety start? I had to go back there. When did my anxiety truly start? And when I saw that, I was like, oh, okay. So then now I work on all of those things that back then and happened, from there and moving forward to now. But also what I did with that too is that I have this he's a beautiful person, smart as hell, funny as hell, can probably do anything in the world that possible that he can do. But he's stuck. And he doesn't know how to get out of it. And I think he feels like he's not worthy of any of it. He can say, I forgive this person, ABC, but he's yet to forgive himself. So he continued to be stuck. I had to cut myself off from this person. And it hurt me to my core because I've forgiven him for everything that he has done. But he's going to continue to show up that hurtful person because he hasn't forgiven himself. So I like when you said before about when I block you for you and not for me. In this moment, I didn't block him now for me. I blocked him for him. That my prayer is that he will be able to see, wow, what am I doing? Because I'm putting myself away from every family member possible. How? You know, like, what am I, and I hope that he might hear this somewhere down the line and listen to it. I'm not going to say his name, but he's been like a brother to me we're the same age. I'm gonna put it like that. We're the same age. He's a little older than me, a few months, but that's always been like my big brother. And when I knew it was time for me to grow and he wasn't ready to grow, I cut him off one time. Then my heart let him back in. Then I cut him off again. And then he went through my mama. And I remember him, saying something that triggered me, but I caught it. I caught it and I had to come back. And then I remember having this amazing conversation with him later on. And in that conversation, I was like, you know why I had to do? He said, yeah, I know why, sis. I know why. He said, I'm working on me. And at that moment, I was so pumped. I was like, yes, got off the phone, yes. And then something said, you still got to leave him on block. Because he knows what
the new relationship has not been created yet. A new relationship dynamic has to still be created.
No, it hasn't. No, it hasn't. And that's where I had to do my boundaries for myself because, I'm like, I'm going to go in there and swoop it. Okay, if I show you how to do ABC, I had to put that boundaries for myself too.
Because I'll do everything for anybody. Because that's what I do. You give me a bag, I'll put a sandwich in it. That's what I do. So like I had to chill out and be like,
yeah,
let's go get the ingredients.
Yeah.
So
when we talk about, having that forgiveness for others, it's describing what it looks like for you.
Yeah.
What is, for me, and I guess, and I don't want to confuse the listeners at all. And my prayer is that you're able to take what I say on how I do it and what Dr. Wilton say on how he does it and kind of find your own, but it really starts with you. What did that pain look like for you and how did it hurt you? I have to get an understanding from that for me, because this is my hurt, Then from there, okay, this is what this is. Where was that person at that time in their life? Really, be honest with yourself. You've seen them in their worst and at their best of times. So where were they?
For me, it was, I'm so glad you said, because for me, I had to first remind myself, this is somebody that I love and this is somebody that loves me. First, understand that. If I had to question that, then that's a whole other conversation. I had to really believe first that this person loves me because I love myself.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be around me unless I had something to offer in life. So they're obviously here because I had something to offer.
Yeah.
Rule number 1, know that you have something to offer. 2, I recognize that there's something that I need to feel complete, and it's not outside of me. And then 3, what's your distraction? Because there's something that you're getting triggered by that ain't got nothing to do with your world, but it's outside of your world, and you keep going back to it. So you keep re-abusing yourself, and that's a form of self-harm. That's self-abuse. And so for me, my forgiveness is completely an act. I had to act out my forgiveness. For me, I usually write out the story. So I write out everything that happened, which was detailed. or I'll write a letter out to them so that if I ever come back to them in life, or if they ever come back into my life and be like, well, I don't know what it's all about. Like, oh, I got a letter for that. This was the letter. This is what happened. It's no longer mine.
Yeah.
So I get it out of me. So for me, I had to release. So I'll write it out. I'll work it out. I'll work out. I'll do things that positively impact my life. Because the truth is that if I don't take control of my life, I've allowed you to create yourself in mine.
Yeah.
I can't let somebody create their life in mine. That's a recipe for disaster.
Now he ain't saying my stuff is wrong, because that ain't what he's saying.
I would use yours. I would use yours in a heartbeat.
Yeah. But see, I do, when I say understanding of what that pain is, I'm writing it down. I'm writing it in my journal on what it is. And the thing is to be honest with yourself of what it looks like. The thing is that we want to say, when, oh, they ain't hurt me, I just ain't gonna them no more. Remember when you're talking about the conversations with people with the different conversations with the articulate, at the, of it, that conversation changes. I think we talked about this a few months ago about even with the different relationships that now we building new relationships with that person now, and understanding that. And it's like, what I want that to look like, or do I even want a relationship with that person again? I know a lot of times it starts with was told to you that you can write a letter and never send it. I'm good for that. And you can forgive a person and they can never, you don't have to say anything to them. And I'm good for that too. My biggest concern is that when that person shows up, how are you going to show up? That's where that healing in that forgiveness is.
So I'll be brief. Literally, there's a person in my city that literally, they're really a great person. They do great work, amazingly gifted, wonderful. The problem is that they have a problem with me, but they don't understand how to express it. And I've expressed like, hey, you don't like me. I just want to know why. And they don't want to say why. They don't want to understand, but they're able to talk about it, all this other stuff. But literally, when we're in the same event, in the same space, like, I've let it go because I'm like, obviously, if it's not coming to me, then it's not my problem.
Right.
But you're talking to people that I know that know me, and then they're coming to me and being like, yeah, it's kind of weird because like I like you and I know you, and like that's not because my character goes beyond your circumstance, right? And so when they're in the same room, they got all tense and like got worried like I was gonna be like a big bad wolf or something. And I was like, this is a good learning moment for me. I was like, this is great. I was like, oh, this is a good test. So like I tried to like be still. I was checking my body scan. I was like, am I nervous? Am I hurt? Am I afraid? I noticed that I was ruminating different scenarios about how I would address them if they came up to me. But I stayed still. And my my reaction is to come up and be like, hey, I heard you were talking about me when you were in Chicago. And, and they don't even know this person, but why care about me if you're living your entire life?
Right.
You don't have any connection with me anymore. What's your problem? You want to say it now? Because you're willing to talk about everybody else about it. But I stopped, I sat and I watched, and I just watched how uncomfortable they were as a person. I watched how insecure they were as a person. I watched how ugly they were. Not like as like a beauty thing, but like as like they lacked structure within their heart, right? In their presence. And it was so sad because I have no feelings for you. I still talk great about them. I still even speak their name in rooms to uplift their work. So like because I believe in what they're doing. And so when I know that I can feel no way about it is when I realized I'm truly forgiving this, because I have the boundary and the discipline and the presence to no longer be reactive in the moment anymore.
Yeah.
Right. I know my worth in that. And I think a lot of times that's what my forgiveness, the power in that was knowing my presence, knowing my peace, knowing my stillness, and not feeling like I had to jump or had to commit to proving myself. Yeah. It's like, no. Yeah, I hope you stop being a miserable person. because you're such a great person. You know.
Yeah. As much as people say they love authenticity, they don't.
Mm-mm.
You walk, you talk, you live in your authenticity.
100%.
That makes others afraid. That makes them question who they are.
Mm-hmm.
That makes and I don't want to say mask, that makes the fakeness of the fraudness of them be exposed. And so I'm going to down that person or make people question that person because I don't have the courage or the strength to be in my authentic self.
And that's and unfortunately they'll never get the true story, right? And that's okay.
Yeah.
But you know, you can either, and my thing is that there is a moment where it all is revealed, right? You can see how you're being successful. You can see how you're moving in life. You also can see how you're learning from it as well. And I think a lot of us just need to really sit back and say, what is the story that I want to tell moving forward from this?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Well, again, Dr. Will, this has been an amazing conversation.
Mm-hmm.
It has.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's been amazing. I know we had a lot more things to say, but we are out of time. We are definitely out of time, but I think we got a lot of the coreness of it. And it really comes down to you. It truly comes down to you as an individual on what and how that forgiveness is going to look like for you. And be honest. Be truly honest with yourself. That's the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing. Do you have any last words for our listeners?
Yeah, be kind to yourself and heal always.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right, my beautiful people, make sure that you download our free copy of the Year a Rebirth Workbook. That's a beautiful section this month on forgiveness with journal prompts, to help you reflect and release and renew. And if this episode has resonated with you, please share it with a friend, a family member. Rate this podcast as well as leave a review. It helps us to reach more souls who are healing just like you. I know a lot of you listening to it on YouTube, but also we on Apple, we on iHeartRadio, we on Spotify, we on a whole bunch of other stuff.
Yeah, all the streaming forums, right?
All the streaming,
all the internets.
Yes, and make sure you tap in there and give us a like, give us some stars, give us give us some reviews and let us know. Also, if you guys have any questions, you can always put hashtag Ask Dr. Will on there when commenting on anything, as well as the email address. You can email me, and if it's a question for Dr. Will, I will forward it over to him as well. But until then, I want you to remember that you are allowed to be free, that you are worthy of peace, and you are healing is already unfolded. So again, thank you for joining us here on the Season of Self-Love podcast. Have an amazing, amazing day. Have a good one.
Thank you for joining us on this journey of discovering and empowerment here at the Season of Self-Love podcast. Remember, embracing self-love is a continuous journey, and we're so glad to have you with us. So if you enjoyed today's episode, please leave us a review. And don't forget to join our community on Facebook at Season of Self-Love. Connect with like-minded individuals who are also on their self-love journey. Now, if you have any questions or topics that you'd like for us to explore, we love to hear from you. Email us at seasonofselflove@gmail.com and let your voice be heard. So until next time, take a moment for yourself today and remember, you are worthy of love, joy, and all the beautiful things that life has to offer.